Hello, this is the Target 3A Special Angle Pairs review. So we're given that angle 2 is 104, and we have to find all of the other angles. Now there's many ways to do this, there's not just one way. So what we want to look for is our special angle pairs, which I'm going to review right down here. Remember, there's alternate interior, there's alternate exterior, there's corresponding, and there's same side or consecutive interior. So these are equal. These three are equal when the lines are parallel. So these three right here equal when the lines are parallel. Same side interior or consecutive interior add up to 180. Okay, and then there's another couple that we need to talk about, vertical angles, which are angles that are right across from each other, and they're always equal. And then there's a linear pair, and those are angles that are right next to each other. And a linear pair, that's angles that are right next to each other. So linear pair. So angles that are right next to each other that make a line. So a line is 180, so they add to 180. So we're going to use those facts to solve these problems. Okay, now we're not really asking you to say why, but I'm going to go ahead and say why. Okay, so I'm going to go with, I know that 2 is 104, and then 6 is vertical with 2, so I know that 6 is also 104. So right here I'm going to write 104. And again, these are vertical. Do you see how they're right across from each other? So that's how I got that those are, that 6 was 104. Okay, now 1 is right next to 2. Do you see how they're right next to 2? And together they make this straight line here, right? This is a straight line. So that means they're a linear pair, so they have to add to 180. So if I do 180 minus 104, I get 7, 10, so I get 76. So I know that angle 1 is 76. Okay, now all the other angles are either going to be 104 or 76 at this point. So it's just determining which is which. So I know that 1 and 5 are directly across from each other. They share a vertex, and they're directly across from each other, not next to each other. So I know that this is 76. So I know 5 is also 76. Okay, now I have to jump from this line right here to this line right here. And since these lines are parallel, I know that these angles, alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding angles are equal. So now how you jump from here to here is up to you. I could look at 2 and 14 and say they're alternate exterior, so they're equal. Okay, I could look at 6 and 10 and say they're alternate interior, so they're equal. I could look at 6 and 14 and say they're corresponding, so they're equal. So there's a whole bunch of different ways I can do it. I'm going to go with 6 and 10 are alternate interior. So they're inside and on different sides of this line, so alternate interior, so they're equal. So 10 is 104. And then from that, I'm going to use that 14 is 104 because they are vertical angles. Now, I could use 9 and 10 are right next to each other, so they add to 180. So that means I would do 180 minus 70, or 104 to get the 76. But also 5 and 9 are alternate interior angles, and they're equal. So 5 is 76, and so is 9. So 9 is 76. And 13 is vertical with 9, so it's 76. So there's a whole bunch of different reasons. There's not just one reason. Did I make a mistake? How did I get that 9 was 76 already? 1, 5, 9, and 13. Oh, I didn't write 13. 13 was 76. I wrote that, but 9 and 13 are both 76. Okay. Now I have to jump from this line right here to this line right here. And these lines are again parallel, so I can make the jump. And I'm going to make the jump by using either alternate interior or alternate exterior corresponding. So this time I'll do corresponding. Do you see how 13 is on the bottom of line B and to the right of line C? And 15 is on the bottom of B and to the right of D, so they're in the same place, so they're corresponding. So they're 76. Some people want to say these are same side interior or same side exterior, 13 and 15, but 13 is interior and 15 is exterior, so they can't be same side interior or same side exterior, so they're corresponding. So 13 and 15 are corresponding and they're equal because the lines are parallel. So 13 and 15 are both 76. And then I know 11 is 76 because it's vertical with 15. And then looking at 12 and 16, or let's look at 12 first, or let's look at 16. Actually, 110 and 16 are alternate interior angles, so they're equal. So this is 104, so 16 is 104. And then because they're vertical, I'll get the 12 is 104. Okay, so now we need to jump from this line to this line. And I can do that by saying, alright, well 16 and 4 are alternate exterior, so they're equal. So 4 is 104. And then that makes 8 104. And then 15 and 3 are also alternate exterior, so 3 is 76. And 7 is 76. And 8 was 104. Okay. Now this is a coincidence. It's just the way that this was numbered. So I don't want you to think this, but if you notice all of the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15, those are all 76. And all the evens, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and the angle we started with 2, or 104, those are all the evens, right? Okay, that just happened to be the way this number is pictured, or numbered, the way that this picture is numbered. So you can't always say that all the evens are going to be 1 and all the odds are going to be the other. And in fact, on your practice test, I'm going to make sure that that doesn't hold true. On your practice problem, I already made it, so it will be the case, but on your test it's not going to be, so you have to go through it this way. So those of you that noticed it, don't think that's always the case. It's just the way that this happened to work out. Okay? Alright, number 2. We're given that angle 16 is 56, so here's 16, and 13 is 56. And we have to determine if these lines are parallel. Okay, and remember, let's look at these angles. First, let's remember corresponding, alternate exterior, and alternate interior. If they're equal, then the lines are parallel. Okay, and then same side or consecutive interior. So same side or consecutive interior angles add to 180 or are supplementary. And if that is true, then the lines are parallel. So if this add to 180, then the lines are parallel. So that's a theorem we have. So we have to look at 16 and 13. And here they are, 16 and 13. We have to decide if they're same side interior, corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior. So when I look at it, it looks to me like if I'm looking between these two lines, 13 is interior and 16 is exterior. Okay, and they're on the same side, but they're not same side interior because 16 is not interior, and they're not same side exterior because 13 is not exterior, it's interior, right? So that means that they must be corresponding. So again, if I were to just trace the angles here, that's these two angles here, the parallel parts are these parts right here. So those are the two lines that are going to end up being parallel, M and N. So we're going to say M is parallel to N. And then we said that we're looking at these two lines. So when I'm looking at these two lines, 16 and 13 aren't alternate because they're on the same side of S. So they can't be alternate interior or alternate exterior. They are same side, but 13's interior while 16's exterior. So they can't be same side interior, so they must be corresponding. And again, remember, corresponding means in the same place. So if you notice, they're both bottom lefts. This is on the bottom of line S, 16 is on the bottom of line S and to the left of line N. And 13 is the bottom of line S and to the left of line N. So they're both bottom left angles, so they're corresponding. So the reason is, if corresponding angles are equal, then the lines are parallel. Alright, for number 3, we're going to use the same principles here. Again, if same side or consecutive interior angles add up to 180, then the lines are parallel. And if, I should probably put a little if here, good, we're on red. If corresponding alternate exterior, alternate interior angles are equal, then the lines are parallel. Okay, so we have to determine what kind of angles 4 and 16 are. So let's find 4. So here's 4, and I'm going to just trace the corners of 4. And I'm going to trace the corners of 16. Okay, so which parts are parallel? If I look, it's these two. This part right here. I guess I didn't need to add that. So this part right here, which is part of line T, and this part right here, which is S. So it's going to be T and S, if anything. So I'm going to say T is parallel to S, probably. And they're both 80, so this is 80. And this is 80, so that makes them equal. Now, what kind of angles are they? Now, if I'm looking at T and S, they're both exterior. They're outside, they're not between T and S, they're outside of T and S, right? Here's T, and here's S, and they're on the outside of that, so they're exterior. Now, here's line M, and they're on different sides of that, so they're alternate. So these are alternate exterior angles. So I'm going to say T is parallel to S because alternate exterior angles are equal. That's how we know that they're parallel. Oops. Okay. Alright, next. Number 4, and again, I forgot the if here. Same thing. We're going to use if same side interior or consecutive interior angles add up to 180. Remember, same side and consecutive are the same thing. They're two different words for the same kind of angles. Add to 180, then the lines are parallel. If corresponding alternate exterior or alternate interior angles are equal, then the lines are parallel. So in this case, we know 9, we're looking at 9 and 13. So let's look at 9. And I'm going to trace 9. Here's 9, and here's 13. And the parallel parts are these parts right here. Let me get another color so you can see it better. I'll use this blue. So the parallel parts are this part right here and this part right there. And those are both from M and N. So it's going to be M and N. Oh, and it tells us right here, M and N. So M is parallel to N. And we're looking for what 13 has to be. So what kind of angles are 9 and 13? So if I'm looking between line M and line N, are 9 and 13 interior or exterior? Or is one interior and one exterior? So when I look at it, 9 and 13 are both in between those two blue lines, so they're interior. Now, are they on the same side of S or on different sides of S? And they are on the same side of S. So these are same side interior or consecutive. So we know that M is parallel to M. Because what does it say about same side interior? Same side interior angles have to do what? They have to add to 180. So 13 is not going to be 135. 9 is 135. But these two angles have to add to 180. So I'm going to say 180 minus 35. I'm going to do the math. 10 minus 5 is 5. And 7 minus 3 is 45. So 13 has to be 45. Now if 13 is 45 and 9 is 135, then they'll add up to 180. Which will make the lines parallel. So M is parallel to N because same side interior angles add to 180. And another word for saying adding to 180, another word that we can use instead of writing add to 180 is we could say same side interior angles are supplementary. So I don't care which you use, whether or not you use add to 180 or supplementary. They mean the same thing. Add to 180 means supplementary. So we know same side interior angles are supplementary, and I tried to teach the alliteration same side supplementary. But remember, supplementary means adds to 180. Okay. Number 5. Okay, so we need to solve these, and again, we're going to use these same rules. I'm not going to write them down because I'm running out of room. But we know if the lines, these work both ways. So this says if the angles are equal, then the lines are parallel. But we also know that if the lines are parallel, the angles are equal. And for this one, if the lines are parallel, then the angles add to 180. So we're going to use those rules to solve these next couple problems. Okay, so let's find out what kind of angles 3 and 6 are. So 3 is right here, and 3 is 6x minus 44, and 6 is right here, and those are 5x plus 20. And the parallel parts are right here and right here. So you notice that L and M are parallel, and 3 and 6 are both interior. They're between those two lines, L and M, so they're interior. Now, are they on the same side or alternate sides of this line? And if you look there, that's pointing at that angle, 3 and 6 are on alternate sides. So they're alternate interior. So the theorem I would use is, if the lines are parallel, then alternate interior angles are equal or congruent. Now, you don't have to write out the full theorem. It's probably better if you do, but just writing their alternate interior angles so they're equal is enough, right? So alternate interior angles are equal when the lines are parallel, or they're alternate interior angles, so they're equal. So saying something about alternate interior angles is what you need to do to answer the question, which theorem. So we're not looking for a theorem number. It's different from book to book. All I care about is the words of the theorem, or really the three important words of the theorem, which is alternate interior angles are equal. So 4 or 5 words. Okay? Now we have to solve for x. Well, we said they're equal. So I'm going to say 6x minus 44 is equal to 5x plus 20, because they're equal. Now I'm going to solve. So I'm going to subtract 5x. That goes away, so I get 1x, or just x, minus 44 equals 20. And let's just make that x, not 1x. And then I'm running out of space, so let me write it up here. X minus 44 equals 20. Then I'm going to add 44. And I get x is 20, and 44 is 64. So x is 64. Okay, so for 7, what kind of angles are 6 and 4? Here's 6, and here's 4. And we're given that L is parallel to M, so these two lines are parallel. Okay, so 4 and 6, are they interior, exterior, or one of each? Well, 4 and 6 are both between, so they're interior. Are they on the same side of this line or on different sides? And again, they're on the same, so they're same side interior. Okay, but same side interior angles are the ones that are not equal. All the others are equal, but same side interior angles add to what? Yep, 180. So they add to 180. So that's how I'm going to solve that. I'm going to say this plus this equals 180. So 4x plus 10 plus x plus 15 equals 180. Combining like terms. Now, people are screwing up here. You're having some algebra problems if you're not sure how to solve a problem like this. Notice that 4x and x are on the same side. They're on the left-hand side of the equal sign right here. So I don't do the opposite. I do exactly what it says. So I'm just collecting like terms. What is 4x plus x? That's 5x. And 10 plus 15. So these were like terms. And these are like terms, and I'm just combining them. So 10 and 15 give me 25, and that equals 180. Okay, now when I solve, I'm going to move from one side to the other. So now is where I do the opposite, because I'm going to move, here's the equal sign, from this side of the equal sign to this sign. So I have to subtract, I have to do the opposite of adding 25, which is subtracting 25. I have to undo this equation. So I get 5x, because those cancel, equals 180 minus 25. Well, I can borrow that 7 and 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 2 is 5, and then 1. So I'm running out of space, so let me write up here. 5x equals 155. Now this says 5 times x. The opposite of timesing is dividing, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And I get x is, I believe it's 31, but let's just double check it. 155 divided by 5. 5 goes into 3, 15 times, 0. Bring down the 5, it goes in 1 time. Yeah, so x is 31. Now that's not the answer, because it's asking me to find the measure of angle 6. So let me get another color here. In purple. So the measure of angle 6 is 4x plus 10. I'm going to replace x with that 31. So I get 4 times 31 plus 10. So I have to do 31 times 4. It's 124, but 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 3 is 1. There's 12, so I get 124. You know, a quick way of multiplying that is this way. If you think of 31 as 30 plus 1, 4 times 30 is just 120, and 4 times 1 is 4. So 120 plus 4 is 124. So I usually do that in my head. but you can always multiply this way or use your calculator. But either way, you get that the angle is 134 degrees. Okay, number 8. And this is the last of the examples, and we have the practice problems for you to do. So we're given again the L is parallel to M, and we're looking at angles 4 and 8. Okay, and again these lines are parallel. So let's look at this. Are 4 and 8 both interior? And they're not. 4 is interior, but 8 is outside of these two lines, right? And they're not both exterior because 4 is inside. 8's outside, but 4 is inside. So when that happens, but they're on the same side, then they're probably corresponding. So let's just double check. Corresponding means in the same place. So 4 is to the right of this line, the right of this line right here, and underneath L. And 8 is also to the right and underneath M. So they're in the same place, so they're corresponding. So these are corresponding angles. And we have a theorem that says if the lines are parallel, then corresponding angles are equal. So to solve this, I'm going to say this is equal to this. So I'm going to say this is equal to this. Now I have to solve. Again, here's my equal side, and I'm moving from this side to this side. So I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to add 24. And I get 9x equals 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry the 1, 8, and 1 is 9. So I get 9x equals 90. Then I'm going to divide by 9, and I get x is 10. And this time it's just asking for x. So here's x. X is 10. Okay. And that's all the practice problems, or the examples. Now here the practice problems are. So again, you probably know the drill, but you must have this checked and signed either by a math teacher or a math lab teacher. Okay? There's going to be a form that you have to have signed saying that you did these practice problems. Okay? You cannot come in and give the practice test or ask to take the test unless we have these practice problems done correctly and then a piece of paper signed by the math lab saying that these practice problems have been completed. Okay? So you got to show them to somebody, either any geometry teacher or a math lab teacher. Okay? So here's the first one. Okay, and remember, they could all the evens and all the odds may or may not be the same answer. That doesn't always happen. So if it happens here, that doesn't mean it will on the test. So be careful. Okay. Number 2. And number 3. And number 4. And 5 and 6, and 7, and here's 8. Okay, good luck.